Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Zagar, and for once I'm not doing a YouTube reading. We're going to be talking about body jumping. And honestly, everything looks a little bit different. New life, new script, new chapter, a lot of new things coming, but the funny thing is, not that new. Sounds very Channel of Surrender, maybe Gate 26 of me to say new and improved. But I have a not new, definitely improved skill set that I've been using in my work, and I call it body jumping. I talked about this about 5 years ago in a podcast episode, and I talked about it very briefly. I've been talking about it a lot more on my Instagram on the new episodes of season 4 of Anew Narrative, and I was interviewed on someone else's podcast that brought it up. Honestly, body jumping is kind of the only thing I've been talking about recently. It correlates to human design or corresponds or works with or ties into, or I'm still finding the how through human design. I get asked frequently, what is body jumping? I'm not the greatest at answering that question yet. Let's start with the fact that I made up the name. Body jumping. There's a thing that I do. I didn't know what to call it. The first time I tried to call it anything, it was like, body jumping. Yeah, that sounds kind of like what we're doing, and I don't have too many better names for it. I'll describe a little bit about what this is like, and you will probably have opinions about like, oh, that seems like channeling, or oh, that seems like downloading, or oh, do you have one of those Claire type gifts, or are you talking to God? Are you talking to Source? Are you talking to aliens? Is there a difference? Probably got a lot of questions. I have some answers. I don't have all of the answers, and it feels really good to say that. I'm going to start today by introducing body jumping on this channel with a story. I'm going to talk about the first time I figured out what I was doing. Now, about 7 years ago, and that number also is not lost on me, 7-year cycles are very interesting. About 7 years ago, I was doing a job where there were a lot of people that had to sit in a relatively small space. This is a large hallway type space, and we had people sitting in like a circle type area throughout the hallway. This was a production type job, and let's just say there's about 15 of us within a like 20-foot long space, probably about 6 feet wide, maybe. Big industrial type hallway, chairs down, people sitting in them. That's our setup. Okay, so I'm in one of these chairs back to the wall, and I've got all of these people around me, and I'm doing my work on the production line. And out of nowhere, I start to feel gross, not like myself, physically quite uncomfortable. The first thing that I notice is I have a really bad headache. Out of nowhere, migraine. What is this? Where did this come from? Of course, you could have an onset headache out of nowhere. They do kind of tend to come out of nowhere. So at first thought, I'm not like, oh, this isn't me. You know, my first thought is like, whoa, where the heck did this headache come from? But then almost as quickly as it comes on, it goes away. Okay, that was interesting. And a couple minutes later, the headache is back. Whoa, okay, never mind. It's back again. But it only lasts a couple of minutes. Then it's gone again. A few more moments go by. I feel very nauseous. What is happening? Why do I suddenly feel so not like myself? And why doesn't it last very long? Okay, intuitively, naturally, without thinking, whatever it is, I look at my friend next to me and I say, hey, do you feel like this? And she goes, yeah, I do, actually. I feel terrible. And I go, oh, I think I feel what you feel. And that was only one of the symptoms. So then I'm starting to look around like, well, is there a possibility that I'm picking someone else up? Now, at this point in my life, I believe in empaths. I believe in energy sensitivity. I believe in, well, that's the thing. Believe is a tricky word. I'm open to, willing to play with, willing to experiment with, willing to try. There again, human design mechanics, we really won't go far without the mechanics. I'm always going to include them. So I've got this like openness to all of these different, like, what is this? Where is this coming from? I'm not exactly locked into any particular belief. I'm not at a point in my life back then, 7 years ago, where I had any type of like, this is the way, this is how it came to be, this is what's right or wrong. Like, I was actually very open to a lot of information, and honestly, I still am. So I'm open to this information that I'm getting from people, and I'm like, what is going on? And then when I ask another person, do you feel nauseous? Yeah, they did feel nauseous. So now I'm very intrigued about what's going on, because I recognize that I've just taken on feelings from someone, and I don't know why. I don't know how. I don't really know what the point is other than to ask them about it. So I can already see that, like, when I feel the thing, my want is to be like, where is this coming from? I want to ask you. I want to ask you. I want to ask. Very projector. Ask, ask, ask. Okay. So I say out loud kind of to this group, like, okay, I think this is just what happened. I think I just picked up someone's feelings, and I think I picked up someone else's feelings over here. Can I try and intentionally do this to anybody else in the room? I had yeses. I got yeses. Someone was like, okay, try and do it to me. Now, the interesting thing about, like, try is I didn't know how I just got the headache feeling or got the nausea feeling. I didn't, like, press a button and be like, give me the feeling. So I don't know how I did it. So I had permission from other people, like, try and do it to me, but it was kind of like, like, I don't know how to say this. Maybe comparable to the first time I ever did a backflip. It was off of a boat. I'd never done one, never tried to do one before, never had anyone tell me what to do about it. I just thought, okay, do it. And I just just launched backwards, and thankfully it worked, But there are certain things where it's not so much a learning, it's a knowing. And third line, but sometimes you just gotta try. And so in my, like, I'm just gonna try, part of it comes from the belief that you can, or the developing belief that you can. Because I'm like, I did just pick things up from people, so I can, but how did I do it? So how am I gonna do it again? Okay. So then it was just kind of like, it was literal. It was like, I want to try and feel that person. I didn't know how to do it other than to ask for it. And in particular, there was a man sitting across from me, and he said that I could try and do it to him. And so while sitting in my spot, I would say, like, I don't want to feel me, I want to feel them. So let's pretend that this fellow's name is John. Okay, I don't want to feel John. Or, sorry, opposite way. I don't want to feel me, I want to feel John. I don't want to feel me, I want to feel John. I don't want to feel me, I want to feel John. And that's what I did the very first time I ever figured out how to do this body jumping thing. It was very much like, I don't want to feel me, I want to feel them. I don't want to feel me, I want to feel them. And I can almost start to feel it. It's like, you get these wild, I get strong goosebumps throughout my body, and the goosebump, like, tingling feeling kind of starts to turn into this, like, static feeling. A little bit like static electricity in the body, a little bit like becoming pixelated, becoming, like, abstract, and then it's almost like the tingling shifts and my cells shift, and I, like, energetically kind of become the other. Now, I'm not saying this is how it happens every time. This is how it happened the first time. The more that I've done this, the more it's changed. Super cool. So the first time I did it, when I jumped John, immediately the physical sensation that I got, so it's like not feeling my body anymore. I feel theirs, and then I interpret the signals from the body. And so in feeling John's body, what I felt was so much tension in the jaw. Now, I will say there are some common feelings to get from people. Tension in the jaw is a big one. Nausea is a big one. Emotions waiting to be released is a big one. Solar plexus is a big one. People needing to be nurtured, like very femininely nurtured, and it presents honestly kind of like breastfeeding. There's just certain signals that activate in the body that are quite common, in that it feels like a lot of people experience a lot of similar things, but maybe for different reasons. Lots of people are tight and tense and have jaw pain, but why? That's the thing. If you have jaw pain, you're like, do I do this exercise? Do I go to the doctor? Do I talk about this? But when I hopped inside John, immediately what I got was he's uncomfortable talking to women. Which was intriguing, because he actually was a pretty chatty guy, and I'd say borderline flirtatious with the people at work. And so to have this, like, oh, you tighten right up around women. You have a very hard time actually comfortably expressing yourself. Why? And the answer was immediate. He says he has all sisters, and two of them were older than him, and one of them in particular was a little abusive to him and would get him in trouble a lot, especially for the things that he said. And so from a very, very young age, he had a aggressive, dominant female figure in his life who used his words against him. And when I said that to him, he was just like, one, I don't know if he was ready for that. When they say, yeah, jump me, I don't know if they're necessarily ready for what's going to come out. And it was in front of other people, in front of a lot of other women. I think it was maybe even interesting for him to hear that in that moment in front of those people. And so ultimately, I had about 10 people give me permission to go around and hop inside them. And it was always physical. The sign was always physical. Like, one felt nauseous, one had the headache, one had the tight jaw. One girl I hopped into, and she just really needed to pee, which was quite funny. I was like, you really need to pee. Like, you can go. Like, you're not going to miss anything. And she thought that was just very funny. So I figured in the beginning that this was an entirely physical gift, and not entirely, it's hard to explain that, but physical and health related. Like, I'm going to feel a pain in the shoulder that is going to be from like overusing it. That shows me something else in the offset of their body. And then there are these signals, clues. And what's very, very cool is the way that my signals work. They work with my system knowledge as a projector, let's say that. Now, I have to be careful what I say here, because it's not just like system project, blah, blah. Careful how you take these things. But I do still trust human design. I do still trust the fact that I'm a projector. I'm very intrigued about looking at this gift through the lens of my mechanics. Do I do what I do because I'm a projector, because I have this ability to penetrate at a deeper level within someone's aura, to read certain information about them? Are projectors possibly the deepest with these kinds of gifts because of the level that we penetrate to the other? I don't believe that what I do is limited to me. I think that the way that I do what I do is specific to me, but the generalness of what I do is not limited to me. So I'm very open and curious about exploring, what is this like for other people? Do other projectors do this? Now, I've already answered that question a little bit. I have generator and projector and manifestor clients that I'm working with right now who express similar gifts, but they might apply them or use them a little bit differently. I'm wondering if maybe when the generator does this, they stay at a slightly more surface level because of their open and enveloping aura. I wonder, is it harder to do this with manifestors? I've had people ask me if I'm able to do this at all with manifestors. What is intriguing, though, is the first person, the one that had the headache at work, where I was like, is this you? Emotional manifestor. I body jumped multiple manifestors at this point. And while I will say they do tend to show up with a little bit more like, all right, what are we doing? Like, there's almost like a bit of a challenge. Like when I do the body jumping thing on Zoom with my clients, I'm staring at them. And I make jokes about this. Like, if you catch the recording, you're gonna watch me stare at you for extended periods of time, because that's what it looks like when I'm doing this. It was very funny when I did it with a manifestor one time, and their go-to was to be like, okay, and like stare back at me. And I was like, okay, well, if both of us are gonna be staring at each other like this, I'll be honest, it tends to go into slightly like, feels a little bit differently intimate. But so far it was only the manifestor that did that. And then I was like, perhaps we could try laying down. And then they laid down, and their pet joined them. And it was much easier to get in the second time around with the pet joining them. And actually, I really like when people's pets join, because the pets usually give me visual support. Like, I will get something come up from someone's body. Like, let's say, I have something come up around their chest area. If they're laying down, let's say they have a dog with them or a cat, often the animal will come and lay on the area or put their head near or stare at the area that is also presenting to me. I think all of this is so cool. I wish I was more like, this is how I do it and this is what it is, and I could be more, here's all the information, now prove it or test it or challenge it, but I can't. And what's so curious to me is that I've spent a lot of time learning things and seeing how much I can trust the information that I learn. And I have not thought throughout my life that I have known a lot of things. And that has changed. I know a lot now. I know differently now. And I'm so much more comfortable in what I know and confident in it. I don't know how I do what I do, but I do what I do. And I'm getting really good at it. Then it's not just health-based. The information that comes up for people is very different from person to person. I'm going to have a lot of stories to share. I'm like, oh, I just want to start telling them, but I have many YouTube videos to make, many stories to share. You will get quite a few body jumping stories from this channel. This is my little introduction, I guess. I don't know what you thought about it. I'm so curious. I'd love to hear in the comments, do you do something like this? What mechanic do you think that it comes from, or wonder if it comes from? What do you think about your aura and how it works? What do you think maybe about your cognition and how it works? What is my taste doing? What does someone's feelings do? How do our cognitions help us get more information at a deeper level? What kind of channels do you have? What circuitry are they in? What is the keynote? I'm purely tribal with a keynote of support. Since I've shifted more to body jumping with human design and not just human design, I genuinely feel like I'm being way more supportive to my clients. I'm meeting them at a different level. And it feels good. And perhaps the wildest of all is it feels easy. Oh, I got the cut. I love the goosebumps. I really love the goosebumps. It feels easy. It feels source-based. And it feels supported. And it feels like something I was born to do. So I'm gonna do it. Maybe you'll do it with me.